Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
I'm Jessie Cruikshank, and I've always been told I have a face for podcasting. So I launched a podcast. It's called Phone a Friend because each week I'll break down the biggest stories in pop culture. But when I have questions, I get to phone a friend. I'll phone a royal watcher to find out why Prince Harry is acting like a real housewife. I'll phone a tween to please explain Euphoria. And maybe I'll even phone a Backstreet Boy to find out if I still have a chance. I don't? Okay. New episodes drop every Thursday wherever you get your podcasts.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
Hi, it's Dave here. This is my wife, Kathy.
Hello.
This is The Cinemal, the podcast where we walk home from the movies. It's a very windy and cold day to be walking to the movies
Apologies for all audio
right now,
issues.
but thankfully the moon is where it should be.
It's very high in the
Yes,
sky. Can confirm.
And from my calculations, it appears to not be about to crash into the earth and cause all manner of chaos.
It's fun to go and see this movie because A, we love disaster movies, and B, we both enjoyed the other movie about a comet coming to Earth last month. Don't Look Up.
Yes, which I feel is almost like don't mention the war, because it's one of the most interesting and divisive movies. We watched it before we realised it had been so divisive.
Yeah, because it was like the
And
day
we were
it
like,
came out on Netflix.
and we were literally just watched that, and we were like, "Oh yeah, that was fun," and we laughed throughout and thought that was pretty good.
That was fun. We won't bother
and then it
recording a
was like-
podcast because it's just like on Netflix and it's Christmas.
And then we,
Oh!
then we went on Twitter and looked it up, and it was like, "Oh my god, this movie's like really Marmite." But let's not
Anyway.
get into that. But
Moonfall.
we're here for that movie is kind of, I would say, a satire, or it uses the conventions of a disaster movie to very point blank satirize, the inefficiency of modern society in dealing with climate change and many other issues it pokes fun at. Moonfall looks to be just doing the same thing, all the hallmarks of a disaster movie, but just being a disaster movie for the sake of it, which
I'm actually
is
really
fine.
up for
I'm here for that.
I'm up for an unironic take on something, and I just want to watch a good disaster movie, and he's like the king of disaster movies.
Yeah, so this is Roland Emmerich. If anyone who doesn't know, he's the king of disaster movies. So he's got writing and directing credits across things like Independence Day, 2012, The Day After Tomorrow, like all of the hallmarks of a disaster movie, like the ones that you kind of would define the genre. He's got his name behind, so he has very much earned his credits. However,
and I think
there's
the
a
idea
but.
of the moon falling to Earth is funny. I've not even seen a trailer, by the way.
Right.
I'm excited to see how they can possibly, what they're going to do with it, because it's very unique premise.
And the reason I'm here for this is because it will take itself seriously.
Yes.
And that is what I'm here for. Because I'm more interested in that than watching a spoof of this. I'm way more interested in a movie that wants us to buy into this.
Same. So fingers crossed it's good, and everyone on Twitter's wrong.
Now, the only issue is, for us, the last time we saw a Roland Emmerich movie was on this podcast, and you can go back. It was one of the very earliest ones. I remember it was the day we saw this movie, Independence Day Resurgence, was the day that we voted in the Brexit referendum.
With such hope.
So if you want to go back and listen to the excitement in our voices after voting in the Brexit referendum and then seeing weirdly Independence Day Resurgence, and then Kathy walked out halfway through.
I can't speak to the movie because I actually didn't watch it all, but I can say the first half was so bad.
So
I just left.
if you can make it through all of Moonfall, then it's a success.
I'm really disappointed that I didn't realise he made that movie. You've just lowered my hopes.
That was a dreadful movie.
You've just lowered my hopes
But fingers
big time.
crossed, this is better.
Why would you do that to me?
I'm just trying to
Support the
temper
movie.
your expectations a bit, right?
I'm like, yes,
The days of Independence Day are long behind us.
Right, well, let's go. We'll see you afterwards.
Right.
Hopefully the moon won't have plummeted to Earth.
Fingers
and it will just
crossed.
be a mildly windy evening.
Bye. Windfall would be a very different movie.
I need you to be brave.
If the moon really is what you think it is, suit up.
You have got a big gravity wave coming your way. You have to launch now.
Did he say gravity wave?
Trouble on the way.
We're underwater!
That's crazy.
Whoa, slow down!
What's the plan?
Save the moon, save Earth.
Brian, what are you doing?
It's flying itself! Wait for it.
Hi, we're back. We're out. We've seen Moonfall, and if it's your first time at the cinema, welcome.
Welcome.
And we just want you to know you're safe here. There are no spoilers, because I know you're all worried about the big Moonfall spoilers. So this is we'll start with our general thoughts, and then we'll turn on to Spoiler Street with a big old warning, because it's hard to miss, and that's when the spoilers will fall.
Yeah, they will flow.
They will hit the planet. The lunar collision of a force. Anyway, looks. Basically, this movie's amazing.
We really enjoyed it.
I mean, it's not good by any objectionable measure, but nonetheless,
we had loads of fun.
We had so much fun.
Yeah, I want to say, like, what I really enjoyed about this movie is the audacity of such a plot. First of all, fantastic.
Yeah.
The moon's coming to Earth, great. Genuinely, I've never seen that as a plot point.
But if you think that is absurd, the movie's got way more absurdity under its skin.
Like that, they're actually like this warrants a spoiler warning because the third act goes where I wasn't expecting it to go.
Yeah.
It's
It
got
is
all the beats of it.
legitimately not what I was expecting.
No, it's got all the beats of a disaster movie that I find kind of in a strange way like comforting and enjoyed watching. One of the things I would say that, like, I know it's getting a lot of like flack from people who kind of don't love it, but what I think it's missing, and I think a big problem with this movie is it's missing any character development. So
Did you come to Moonfall for character development?
no,
Did you want the characters to learn something, or did you want them to be 2D cookie cutter, non drawn out characters that are not only as thin as the paper they were written on, but they are instantly identifiable from Roland Emmerich's previous work? He basically cut and pasted the conspiracy theorist from The Day After Tomorrow, and the
ex-husband from 2012.
From 2012.
No, the current husband from 2012. No, I don't want a paper thin character, and I don't actually want a character development. I just want to feel invested in a character. Like when I think about Independence Day, like I'm very invested in Will Smith in that movie. When I think of like Deep Impact, there's a lot of characters like that. I was like, there was relationships that I was cared for in it. And this movie is lacking
all of the
care.
all of the heavy lifting for caring about the characters in Independence Day were done by Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum. And to probably a lesser extent, Bill Pullman. But
there's no one doing that here, and it's not.
No, that's
like,
because
Patrick Wilson is an actor I really enjoy. I think he's a great actor, and what he is giving in me in this movie is he's just Chris Pratt from Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
like he's given nothing. John Bradley, aka
Patrick Wilson, for reference, everyone is just. He's playing. His character is cookie cutter astronaut
here.
Cowboy.
It's also the start of that movie that you didn't see, but that Jared Butler one, where he went to space.
Oh, I'd love to have seen that.
Jared Butler.
This movie looks like it was that movie.
The start of that movie, Jared Butler is in the exact same physical life and space and everything as Patrick Wilson.
So as a reminder, this is there's a bit in the trailer of that movie, which I can't remember what it was called, where Jared Butler storms into a trial hearing.
That's what it was called.
Yes, and he goes, "I'm sorry I was late. I had to come here from outer space."
Yeah, it's that kind of anyway, that's Patrick Wilson in this, so he's not given much to do. John Bradley.
He rides a motorbike?
John Bradley.
Is that a character?
No, that's not a character point of view. That's what I'm saying. He's just Chris Pratt from Jurassic Park. John Bradley from Game of Thrones. He's good.
He was Sam in Game of Thrones.
He's the heart of the movie in this, I say that as he's charming actor, but his character isn't given much either. But at least there's a bit of a relationship.
He elevates this, though. He's doing all the heavy lifting in this movie.
And there's at least some sense of a relationship with him and his mom that you can kind of care about. And then Halle Berry, I turned to Dave because I've never even seen a trailer for this movie and actually didn't even know who was in it. And I turned to Dave at the start of the movie and said, "She looks really like a young Halle Berry." And Dave's like, "That is Halle Berry." I cannot fucking believe how good she looks.
55? She looks younger than me.
She looks 25. I think to an extent she has been bathed in a bit of soft light. I will say that much.
She got the Jessica Fletcher touch up.
The Hollywood starlet treatment. However, her character again like she's
What's her
fine.
character? Her character is
Halle Berry's fine.
astronaut turned desk jockey.
This is what we know about her. Astronaut turns desk jockey, has a kid, used to be married to this guy. They were in fact the power couple of like the American military, because he's like head of the military and she's like head of NASA.
I can't wait
to
talk.
That's a cool power couple.
I can't wait to talk about him. I don't know what else to say except you should all see this movie. You shouldn't probably pay any money to see it, but as soon as it's available for free, you should switch it on at the same exact moment that your brain switches off, and you should just enjoy the complete lack of effort that was put in.
No, but this is what is interesting to me about this movie is there's an extreme lack of effort in characters, right? And in the kind of the script.
It's a cut and paste job from his own movies.
Yeah, but there's a huge effort in the premise and the science. So, like, that's the bit that I really enjoyed.
Do you think there's science here?
No, the premise and I don't want to give away, but like premise and all the stuff that happens to make the moon fall and like all of that, like that's fascinating. And I think he was kind of so caught up in that cool idea of that, which is cool, that they just didn't pay attention to the stuff you need to make a movie good.
Can I speculate as to and I have no idea about the background of this movie. But
go speculate.
I'm going to wildly speculate as to the genesis of this movie, and this is how it goes. Cut to Roland Emmerich, 3 a.m., his own house, and he's wildly scrolling the internet in the middle of a pandemic. He's gone down some sort of anti-vax QAnon conspiracy fringe theory. Suddenly he's down the rabbit hole. Suddenly it's the Illuminati, aliens, the Egyptians were aliens, McCartney was replaced by a clone. Then he comes across a particular conspiracy theory
that we won't spoil,
but it's basically the premise of this entire movie. And then he sets pen to paper and comes up with a variety of wild and interesting characters to populate his mad because basically the hero, the Bradley, what's his name from Game of Thrones? John Bradley, his character. He is the heart and soul of the movie.
Yeah,
he's the one
sweet.
You get behind, but he is a right-wing fringe conspiracy nut. That's who his character is. Like,
he's a fringe conspiracy nut. We don't know what his
Sorry. Yes, I don't know which wing he's on. But but I mean, that is fundamentally the core of this movie.
With the fake doctor.
Is like, I'm a conspiracy theorist, and maybe we should have listened to those people, right?
But
maybe they were onto something.
Roland Emmerich was probably like, I just want something really different for this movie, guys. Let's just throw everything out the window, start from scratch, and build a kind of new character, a new archetype. Let me think. He's tall, he's white, he's muscly, he's a divorced dad with a chip on his shoulder. He likes to actually get underneath the car and fix it that way when he's angry. He likes to come home and have beer. He owes, money on his rent. He's sleeping through speaking engagements that he's supposed to be going to.
Yeah,
but he is the only man who can get us to space.
He's a bit of a wild card, really. A loose cannon.
It's a fascinating character study, on something we've never seen
There's
before.
a line, this isn't really a spoiler, but there's a line where, it's like, we need this very specific set of skills, but there's nobody who could do that. And it's like, one man can. And it's just like, we need you to fly this jet with no power. You're the only one who's ever done it.
We should get to spoilers. Come on.
Let's just go to spoilers, guys.
Anyway, we enjoyed it, but take it with a pinch of salt.
So much fun.
But let's admit, we had a load of fun.
We're laughing at it.
But we had a load of fun. We were in the mood for it, but we have to acknowledge that the movie does not have good humour and does not have good characters.
It doesn't have really good anything. Some of the special effects are okay.
Yeah.
It does look pretty solid.
I was very interested in the gravity waves and that kind of stuff. That was cool.
I gotta say though, we're being a bit, facetious about it, and we were laughing at it because it's just lazy and boring, and you've seen it 1,000 times before. But really, I genuinely did have a really fun time at the cinema, and I think you did too.
Yeah.
And I think there's a comforting sort of warm blanket feeling to watching this, just a conventional genre movie, and it is just ticking every box on the convention tree as it falls off it. It is not interested in mixing things up. This is, and that's, and I kind of admire
mixing things up, but that it's mixing things up in terms of what the natural disaster is, but it's, on the other hand, being very lazy with character development. That's pretty, like, not even development, just like any sort of character at all. Like, that's pretty inexcusable.
But it's also, is it inexcusable or is it admirable? I'm kind of on the side of, like, Roland Emmerich is kind of a genius. He has, as we said at the top, right, he basically, like, invented this genre, did it to death so much it became like a template for parody and satire, has been done to death. This movie came out after Don't Look Up. Like, how could you have a movie after, as I said, like 20 years of parodying the disaster genre movie and still have characters in this who are military people saying, no, let's nuke the moon.
I mean, nuking the moon is the best idea I've ever personally
We've got to nuke the moon.
To the point where towards the end, Dave and I were like, nuke
but
the moon.
The movie is looking you down the screen, dead seriously, like, we have to nuke the moon. Like, it's not a joke. And to me, I kind of have a lot of respect for Roland Emmerich, that he can, in the face of, you know, decades of this formula being ripped apart and made fun of, he will still just go back and do the exact same thing. And that takes courage.
Yeah, but do we
kind
need
of courage that hotshot astronaut Patrick Wilson has in buckets?
But, like, come on, like, I just would have thought we'd have slightly moved on from, like, we need the Earth's one and only saviour to be a tall, white, straight, cisgendered, muscly, divorced, hot, motorbike driving dad.
Are you accusing Roland Emmerich of not being up to date enough with the times?
Well, he's certainly up to date with conspiracy theories. And honestly, it was a joy to have Halle Berry on screen, only because I now live in wonder.
It was lovely. It was a lovely reminder of what Halle Berry looked like 25 years ago, because it was the same.
The only difference is she used to have short hair, now she's long hair. It's literally the only difference. But
right, let's go to
spoilers.
Spoiler Street, because that's where the good
spoilers.
stuff is. I hope that you've all watched Moonfall, because what is wrong with you?
We're on Spoiler Street now. Do you know what I would say from what I've seen around box office numbers after a quick Google?
No one's seen this
Don't
movie?
think a lot of people
Are we
have
the
seen
only
this
people
movie.
who saw it?
Well, there was about, 4 people in our
Four
screen?
other people. We should talk to them. Hopefully they're listening to this. So, spoilers for Moonfall. So, firstly, big spoiler. The moon is falling towards the Earth.
Yeah.
Right, that's happening. The only thing that can stop it is a last-ditch attempt to launch a space shuttle into space with no power, but only one man can do that.
But why again? Because the things that are attacking making the Earth fall to Earth, the moon fall to Earth, are triggered by electricity.
No,
or
something. There's fucking whatever. There's an evil alien.
Oh, alien tech.
Nanotech on the moon, right?
Even as I'm trying to describe it, I can't describe it.
It's like when you actually say the words out loud.
Also, why did Patrick Wilson always blame himself for the death of his colleague in the opening scene? It had nothing to do with him.
Basically, okay.
It was the alien tech.
I have no idea. Well,
I enjoyed the stuff of him being disgraced from NASA, by the way. I wish we'd dwelt more on that.
Look, this movie is so... this movie is like, you could... Every decision or some of the characters that exist within it, you can all trace them backwards because they had to get to a point where why is... Like, as a screenwriting challenge, Roland Emmerich and his writing partners, like, they're obviously like, we need Patrick Wilson, Halle Berry and John Bradley to be piloting a space shuttle to stop the moon. But how do we get there? So, and then they just set a series of like contrivances, and I mean very poorly thought out
Wilson
contrivances.
Stuff I got. The Halle Berry bit was like, so we meet Halle Berry and it's like, she just got married but she missed her honeymoon because she's in space. Next scene, she's divorced. 12 years later.
Yeah.
Okay, we get why Patrick Wilson's life fell apart, because he blew their life savings and remortgaged his house trying to take NASA to court. But Halle Berry bit I didn't really get. We have to say, I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, so we didn't say it before Spoiler Street. Donald Sutherland is apparently in this movie. He wheels up and he literally arrives in a wheelchair in one scene, speaks for a minute and wheels off again.
I believe for the only reason he was in a wheelchair is because Donald Sutherland
refused to get up and
refused
walk.
to get up. Yeah, he said, I want to do the minimal amount of effort.
He definitely wasn't in the room with Halle Berry either. I'd say he was actually in his house. Someone put him in a wheelchair, put him in front of a green
Why
screen.
is he in this movie?
Let him film his bit, and he probably got $1 million. And like, fair play to
and
you.
also, sorry, he's also playing a sort of fringe conspiracy theorist, but from within the system.
Well, he's not a fringe conspiracy theorist. He's witnessed the videos that NASA's trying to quell.
Key link to the conspiracy theory.
They're kind of positive that NASA has known the whole time that the moon has got this crazy shit going on.
The moon is hollow.
NASA didn't know that, though.
Aliens in
NASA knew that there was this big problem with... They knew that what Patrick Wilson said happened in space really happened. They started a mission trying to figure out what it was, and then they were like, fuck that, we're doing budget cuts. Now, we are watching and we're obsessed with For All Mankind, right?
Yeah.
We watched the first 2 seasons on Apple TV Plus and are like desperate for season 3.
It's hard. It's really
We're NASA
hard.
experts.
It's really hard to watch that show, then come back to
That's
this.
what I'm like. We've watched so much.
That's the kind of crash landing that hotshot astronaut Patrick Wilson wouldn't have allowed.
But we genuinely think we're moon experts from watching For All Mankind.
Yeah. Think?
So I mean,
/
we are.
no.
So basically, watching this, I find highly enjoyable coming off the back of For All Mankind. I have to say, they're like an interesting companion piece.
Apparently, I mean, I haven't delved into the what real life scientists think of Moonfall science, but I have seen some tweets claiming that, believe it or not, some of this is not complete nonsense. But apparently, all the stuff, which is very entertaining, admittedly, about the moon, coming so close to the Earth that it affects reverses gravity and stuff. A lot of that just is apparently nonsense.
It looks
or the moon
very
would have
cool.
broken up by then.
But they didn't dwell enough on that. It was like, there's gravity waves, like the stuff where cars are jumping across mountains, like because gravity was helping them. I really enjoyed that. I think he could have spent a bit more time on that stuff.
Well, really, I mean, it was just like, why did we have all those characters on planet Earth? They were so pointless. Like your man's son who gets saddled with her son.
It was an attempt at emotional weight, but it just fell flat.
And then this is what I mean by writing the plot backwards. They start the movie with him going to jail for robbing a car and speeding really fast, really just so they can justify why he's such an amazing driver while he's driving away from the moon later. Why else have that detail?
He's driving toward the moon. He's using the gravitational pull.
Yeah, oh yes, of course. Science. And for me the biggest contrivance and the most ridiculous one was, right guys, this is it. We've got this last ditch mission. We've got the whole of the world is behind this. No, just America. Okay, the whole of NASA is behind this. We've got the weight of everybody. No, not the military. They're going to nuke the moon. Okay, right, so we've got a skeleton crew with the head of NASA, the last people who are here who haven't looked after their families. We're going to do oh shit, the engine went. Okay, just go home, everyone. We're going to leave this one. It's not going to work. Okay, bye. Wait.
They literally said, everyone go back to your families.
Time to go back to your family. But wait, hang on. Wait a second. What if we just fucking fly it to the moon with 2 engines? Oh, no, everyone's gone home. Oh, I guess it's just the 3 of us. Let's do this.
And then the guy from Game of Thrones goes to space is like, sorry, could I just get in a spacesuit now and go to space? Is that how it works?
This is what I mean. It's just they needed those 3 main characters to be in that spaceship, and this is the fucking bullshit they came up with.
But they didn't want to make them look so evil that they've completely abandoned their family. So it's like, no, don't worry.
No,
because you've all seen
goodbye.
Greenland and there's bunkers, and
yeah.
they're all just getting to the bunker. But there's no kind of even dissection of some of the interesting stuff that you have in Don't Look Up, where it's like, yeah, but let's acknowledge the privilege. These guys going to a bunker. I'm actually,
it's not interested in addressing any.
It's a very
anything.
interesting companion to Don't Look Up as well, which we won't spoil. But they're actually very fascinating to view as films that have come out within a month of each other.
And here for me is the biggest difference between Don't Look Up and this. This isn't a big spoiler, right, for Don't Look Up, but the whole premise of Don't Look Up is, there's a planet destroying incident about to happen. And Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence are the scientists involved, so they're the sort of analogue for John Bradley's character here. And they go on national television, they're screaming about this, they see the president, and nobody is paying it any attention because of the media and the news cycle, and it's nobody really cares, right? And then misinformation. In this movie, John Bradley's character tries something similar. He's like, pay attention, guys, look at the data.
He goes on Reddit or
and
something.
Then his elderly mother says to him, sometimes, love, You just have to make them listen. and then the next scene we cut to, the news interrupts. This is what happens. A news bulletin on TV, which is where everyone gets their news these days, by the way. A news bulletin on TV is like, we interrupt this program. The moon is going to crash into the earth. We've got this due to an anonymous source. So suddenly, like, his thing has got exploded. Like, how did he do it?
Can I make a counterpoint?
And then, no, it turns out the reason, how did he do it, is he went on social media. That's what we're told. So we're just, in an offhand comment, I didn't think my thing would explode and everyone would listen on social media. It's like,
Can I make a
so we're to
counterpoint?
believe, that a right-wing conspiracy theorist went on social media with a ream of data and convinced the world. That, for me, is more unbelievable than the moon hitting the earth.
Dave, are you kidding me? I need to make a counterpoint.
Okay.
The world we live in, right-wing conspiracy theorists on Facebook and fucking Reddit get more news time than actual scientists talking about COVID.
Yes, but
in our world we live in at the moment, the irony is that your man on Reddit, the fake doctor with his stupid data that he's been nicking, pretending to, with total another story where he somehow is broken into NASA, is pretending to be a cleaner and stealing data from the NASA computers. That genuinely, to me, is not surprising that he is more believed by said conspiracy theorists than actual scientists like
here's the thing. I totally agree with you. He would find a voice. He would get huge like sways of people behind him. What he wouldn't get is the entire mainstream media interrupting news bulletins.
I know.
And that's what I'm saying.
Ridiculous.
Suddenly the entire world is just bought into it because
But I think the thing is NASA was right behind him on the data, so NASA immediately corroborated it. I'm like, yeah, but NASA, you're the same people who kicked Patrick Wilson out of NASA and sued him and buried all this evidence of this activity, so why are you suddenly copping to it? Like,
why is there so much in this movie?
I just think
we haven't even talked about the human alien ancestors and the flashback to their nanotech alarm clocks.
That was the bit with, like, as much as I enjoyed all the kind of third act and the nonsense science, I was like, come here, when Patrick Wilson went into like a dream state and his brain was told all about the entire history of mankind. That's my point. It's like, why does he?
Through a familiar...
Why is Patrick Wilson the vector for this information? He's like our messiah. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, he couldn't have been the most basic fucking man on the planet.
But also the way that was presented with the AI showing itself as your nearest and dearest is so cliched now, to the point we've had Contact... we've had Arrival. Like, this is, again, Roland Emmerich not copying and pasting his own work in that instance, but other people's work.
But it felt really trite because, like, particularly with Patrick Wilson and his son, like, we effectively never even saw them in a scene together. So, like,
no,
how am I
supposed to care?
If anything, it should have been actually Halle Berry talking to him.
And also, they introduced that son like halfway through the movie. They just talked about him.
No, we met him as a kid watching his dad on telly.
Come on, he wasn't really a character, and then suddenly he's our emotional investment as he drives across a world that's about to be destroyed. Like, kind of having a will they, won't they with a nanny.
No, but it wasn't even a will they, won't they. They didn't even give them that.
Like, why? Yeah, but why? But they were trying. The movie half-heartedly
but that's what I'm saying.
half serves that
do
up
it or don't
towards
do
the
it.
end.
And then that whole side plot of them like getting oxygen from like
also, why is that nanny still doing her job in like the NASA people are being sent home?
I'm sorry, Dave. If I was a nanny, and very luckily the moon's about to hit the earth and everyone's about to die, I'm the nanny to the head of NASA's son, and I get to go to a bunker, and I also have a relationship with that son. Am I going to A, abandon him?
Go
No.
into that bunker.
Or B, abandon the bunker? No. I'm staying with that son.
But sorry, can we rewind? Yes, that's a good point. Can we rewind a bit? Because you brought up Greenland, which is another interesting one to bring up, because we did an episode on that a year or two ago. And that is, for all intents and purposes, on the outside, looks like a similar movie. This is, and kind of is. It has all the conventions of a disaster movie. But that's what I was going to say. It is significantly better because it does what you pointed out at the top of this episode that this movie does not do well, is character, right? It focuses on character. Jared Butler actually acts.
You want him to get...
Baracken.
You want them to get reunited with their kid. In this movie, it's actually not even a question. There's never a question they won't be reunited with their kids.
Exactly.
They're just parallel plots that you know how they'll end.
That movie felt like there's a few moments in that movie where I felt like I had to turn it off.
Yeah.
I was so anxious. So that movie, these movies can stick by a formula and do something different and more interesting, and that's a great example of it. This movie's not interested in that, but it's still immensely entertaining.
This movie's like, get to the moon, Avatar, dream people, and let's spend a good 10 minutes there.
I think the other bit of audacity, which I have to take my hat off to Roland Emmerich for, is the end of this movie seems to be saying, sequels? Question mark?
Does it?
I think so, because it's like, it sets up this huge, epic sort of backstory, and then it brings your man back as an AI, and then, what's his name who dies?
Oh, yeah.
Sam from Game of Thrones. And then the AI says to Sam, I brought you back. And now it says something like, now the real work begins.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sequels!
But also I'm like,
Moonfall trilogy!
but surely
So,
the real
what are we
work is-
thinking? Moonfall? Skyfall?
Moonfall Part 2?
Spacefall?
I don't know. But like, surely
Solar
the work
system
is
fall?
clearing up the Earth's been destroyed. The Earth's completely destroyed by what just happened. There's no victory. Like, it felt so hollow, you know? At
Just like the
end-
moon.
Yeah, because hollow as the moon. It just felt like, okay, so these people that we have no connection to whatsoever and don't care about are still alive. But like, I'm like, what about the rest of the world? This is a terrible tragedy. It didn't have the ring of victory to it that again at the end of these movies,
When you say the
you
rest
want
of the
to
world,
feel.
I don't understand. Do you mean America? Because there's America. What are you referring to?
I'm surprised we didn't get the kind of shots, or maybe we didn't. I was zoned out of like, ooh, the Eiffel Tower being, because it's like steel or whatever, going up magnetized.
Yeah, they didn't even bother with the perfunctory sort of, yeah, they're doing their own thing over
Usually
there.
you'd expect, at the very least, Sydney Opera House, Eiffel Tower, Taj Mahal, Great Wall of China.
Like even Independence Day had the sort of common sense for Bill Pullman's incredible speech to be broadcast around the entire world, which then was the call to arms that everyone else had been kind of waiting for.
But didn't they say something like that? China or someone was willing to help them with the launch. There was a reference to some other superpower.
There was the European Space Agency were going to help.
Someone got a reference, yeah.
Maybe, but then.
But look, we just needed Patrick Wilson.
But then really we got to nuke the moon.
The
That's the other thing. Sorry, can we talk about that the debate, the inner monologue of the general who pulls a gun in the nuke room. And it's like, no fighting in the war room.
And he goes,
pulls a
my
gun.
ex-wife is up there.
My ex-wife is up there and she deserves a shot.
But
She
I was
deserves
thinking,
a shot at
shouldn't
this.
he have told them sooner? Because it's
Yeah.
actually very comforting for the people down on Earth to know that, like, fucking hell, someone's doing
Shouldn't
something.
he have told
like.
them incredibly sooner? Like at the very beginning. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
he was outrageous. But no, honestly, I think nuking the moon is a really good strategy and that, like, one we should all look into kind
would
of
have worked.
in general life. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's no way that would in any way bounce back. Given the moon was like, what, a quarter of a
It was
mile?
like right there. You could almost touch it. Nuke it.
Nuke it.
What a
That was a great line.
I
in
want
fairness.
Nuke the Moon
Like,
to be on
when
a
you've got
t-shirt.
two generals standing there with their hands on keys and one is turning it already to nuke the moon, like something's
And
gone
the other one is drawing his
terribly
gun.
wrong.
I mean, that's drama. That is relatable, down-to-earth drama.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, great crack to talk about, and actually on our Patreon this month, leading up to Moonfall, because we're all such big fans of disaster movies, we did a poll and Jurassic Park won, and we've just watched it and released the episode, and a very different quality of disaster
A
movie,
little
one
bit
might
better.
say.
So, patreon.com/theCinemile to listen to our Jurassic Park episode. And we're about to do a new retro movie review over there, and we've just done a lot of TV stuff and just like that, and Yellow Jackets and a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, chatting about loads of other things.
So thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed Moonfall, though I'm guessing most people who are still listening haven't seen it and don't care.
Yeah, I bet. And that's totally cool. I think we've conveyed the plot pretty well. So.
Also, you probably get out more than us, so you probably actually don't think this is the best night of the fucking week for you to go and see Moonfall for 2 hours.
No, we loved it. I think I'd watch it again.
Okay, talk to you
Bye.
later. Bye.
Hang on! Everybody, hang on!
I'm gonna get you home.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What would you say if I told you there's a book that can teach you how to win The Bachelor? What would you say if I told you producers caught multiple finalists reading that book in this season that's currently airing?
What would you say if I told you the producers don't want anyone to know that their show has been compromised?
How do we know all this? We wrote that book.
I'm Lizzie Pace.
And I'm Chad Kulchin.
We're the authors of How to Win the Bachelor and the hosts of the Game of Roses podcast, a bi-weekly podcast where we break down all the biggest plays, errors, and MVPs in the game of reality television.
Listen to Game of Roses wherever you get your podcasts and go to howtowinthebachelor.com to get our book.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.